This is the first in the series of the Catapult 5 in 5 series. It's an attempt to produce some short, sharp, punchy videos which give a little bit of information on the background behind why clubs and associations might be using tracking devices in their daily work, and also what they might actually gain from it. So the first in the series is called Why Tracking, and it is literally that. It's an attempt to explain just why clubs and national associations may invest in tracking technologies to help them better look after their athletes. So just to start with then, we'll look at it in the context of the club environment. One of the things that you see in club environments very frequently actually is the fact that you'll see different departments that are in themselves very effective. They operate particularly well, but they don't communicate across departments particularly well. And we see what's referred to quite frequently actually as a silo mentality. So the purpose of this presentation then is to look at just how we might overcome that with the use of tracking technologies and the data that they create. So most people would probably agree that there is some value to be had in collecting information on players in training and in games, in terms of things like, okay, we can manage their performance during periods when we might be trying to maintain performance, physical performance, in times during the season, or during the pre-season periods where we might be trying to enhance performance. There's certainly sufficient evidence to say that tracking devices provide really useful information to help us just mitigate the risk of injuries in the players we're managing. And then for those that are working with developing players, tracking devices provide a really valuable and useful method to map the physical development of those players. So if we set targets based on what our senior players are achieving, we can actually map the progress of the younger players towards that. Now these three are pretty much a given in any environment, but I would argue that actually there's a huge amount more value to be gained from tracking technologies, such as, in the first instance, the information that we create from training and in games promotes conversations that wouldn't otherwise take place in these environments. It may be conversations between players and coaches, it could be between S&C coaches and technical coaches, or it could be between medical staff and players. But all sorts of conversations will ensue that wouldn't otherwise take place. The second additional benefit here then, is that data allows us to create challenges to the natural subjectivity that exists within these environments. So we all know that in a performance environment, the coach is king, and the coach's opinion, even though he or she may not be qualified in medical or performance matters, if they have an opinion in that area, generally speaking, their opinion carries a lot of weight. Now, if we've got, and we being the performance or medical staff, if we have data to back up our own opinion in relation to a player, that actually provides us with an opportunity to level the playing field and conduct the conversation on a much more even basis. And then the third thing that this information allows us to do is to objectively address the kind of performance questions that arise in every performance environment. So, club environments, there's a huge amount of value to be gained from investment in tracking technologies. Now, national associations are very, very similar in this respect. And by national associations, I'm referring to the governing bodies, I guess, of sport. So my sport is soccer. I'm resident in the UK. And it would be, in England, it would be the Football Association, for example. So the kind of benefits that national association can gain, very similar to clubs, in terms of the profiling, management and monitoring of the players in their charge. So national associations will run age group national teams, and it's really useful for them to establish what our national player may well look like. So to establish normative player profiles. And then, similar to on a club environment, we can actually monitor and map the development of our young national players. We can create profiles which will enable us to map differences between players, differences between positions, so that we can again implement individual training and intervention strategies. And then whilst on international duty, objective data clearly provides evidence and support for some of the decisions that we might make, for example, in relation to just how much time a player may play in an international game. The second area that national associations can benefit from this is in terms of relationships, both within the association and outside of the association. So if information is communicated between the National Association and the host clubs for players, clearly what this is going to do is to broker harmonious relationships. So the National Association is seen as doing their due diligence with the players and ensuring that player health and well-being is taken care of. Now, in some associations where the clubs themselves may not have the budget for this kind of information, what this will do is it'll have the effect of creating almost a hero effect for the National Association. So they're seen as being the pioneers and the leaders in new technologies, and the clubs will be so appreciative of the kind of information that the National Association will share. And then thirdly, there's a real benefit to be had in terms of education. So most national associations will run coaching and fitness coach education courses. They'll provide CPD for coaches, and the kind of information that will come from tracking devices will help support the delivery of these coaches by the National Association. And then from an internal perspective, this kind of information will help to educate and enhance and develop the association staff themselves. So clear benefits to be had from investing in tracking, both from a club and from a national association level. Hopefully the net result of implementing an approach to player tracking will be that we also go some way towards bridging the gap between the different departments in any club or association. If anybody has any questions in relation to any of the Catapult 5in5 series, they can be contacted either via the Catapult community or my email address is there.